I am so excited. I'm doing this every week. Almost like the bit. I know, I'm seriously so excited. We have the 7th. We have the 7th issue. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have the 7th issue of the Mortal Realms here. I'm diving straight in. The reason I am so excited about this issue is we have 2 tubs. That's it. That's like the only reason why I'm so excited about this issue. We have Stormhost Silver, which is a layer paint, which is a metallic silver that we get to add. I'm assuming that this goes onto things like weapons. This layer paint is a little bit more together than the base paints. That's great. Something I check out every issue, because I do tell you about, how much you have to shake them up. This one, you don't have to shake up as much as the base paints. It is more liquidy, and you can probably hear it. I don't know if you heard anything then. But that's really cool. So we've got that silver paint. I need to make room. I need to make room because the next paint that we have is a shade oil. It's a shade paint oil thing, and this is Reikland Flesh Shade. Oh, you can definitely hear that. That's more liquidy than the others. So this is like an oil shade paint that I am taking the whole ring off. So it is very thin. Very thin compared to the paints that we've just looked at. And this adds depth and character to your painting. It kind of fills in the gaps and adds some shadows into the models as we go. And you use it to like touch up little bits in here and there. You don't want to over soak it, but it adds depth to your models that it's not going to be there if you don't. Like, it kind of makes them pop that little bit more. So I'm really excited adding this sort of thing in there. But I had to make room because it's such a thick boy. It sticks up above my other one. It doesn't even fit in the spot that I cleared. Curse you. You know what? Because I'm so bloody annoying when it comes to this. Well, I'm so annoying when it comes to these things. I have to put them in the order that I got the paints. Anyway, issue 7 of the Mortal Realms. This is awesome. So, in this issue, we're starting out with Heavenly Hosts, which we've already looked at a little bit of this earlier, and it gives you some different types of Stormcast Eternals that you come across, and that's really cool. I'm really excited to have a look at this. So, I don't know, I feel like this one's going to be talking a lot about Stormcast Eternals. Ooh, what's this? I don't even know what this is, but it's talking about... Pages falling apart again. It's talking about certain dudes here. That side, two people there. I think that artwork is really cool, and I'm really looking forward to reading about this. I'm not going to be reading it now, I'm going to be reading it later. But, it's really cool. It's got information about Nagash, Yuri of the Reforged. I just have to show you this, like, nice and close. Film in. Look at that dude there. Look at that beast. It's like a Minotaur type guy. That's all I wanted to show you. Did you expect anything else? Okay, there's something else. Alright, we have shade and layer paints here. Look at this. Shade and layer paints. This is cool. So, gather your Stormcast Eternals, because you're going to dab this stuff onto them. So, this is where we're starting to go back with previous models and apply more paints to them. So, we kind of had a little bit of it when it came to something. I've like literally just blanked right now. the wraiths. We had a look at painting the wraiths. We took the ones that we'd already painted and we added to them, so that was something else. So, let's have a look. What is it saying? Okay, so it's really hard to actually tell with the photos that they use in this print, but essentially, if you apply this shade, you go from like a dull metallic color to like this really cool toned. My models look more like this one compared to that one, just from looking at them. So the paintings don't really show it well. Main thing that you're wanting to make sure you do is you shade it properly. You want to do it quickly. So you don't want to have a dry brush when you do it. You want the brush to be wet. And you want to make sure that you don't have the shade pull into certain sections. So you can see there it's saying, you know, it'll pull into certain sections. You want to remove that as much as possible. So that's the first thing. So shading. It says, I guess, it says you can remove from the bases and pop them back on bases when they are ready to dry. If it's easier to paint the wraith, I glued mine together. That's how I decided I was going to do my models and learn from mistakes if I stuff up. So you apply a layer and it just adds depth to the colour. It changes the colour a little bit and adds some depth to it. We also have terrible autofocus. The Stormhost Silver here. So this is dry brushing silver onto here, so you can see not really that well, but they've applied it to sort of like the knees and some of the outlines of like the shoulder pads on this one. And you can see in here they've applied it like around certain spots on the boot there, just to give it a little bit of effort. It's not like dry brush the entire model, but it's like edging it. So you put the shade on, and then you get the layer paint. So you shade it, you shade it with the oil, and then you get like that layer paint, and you're just going around, and the bits that like are edged, I guess it's almost like the bits that would get worn away a little bit more. So you're hitting it onto those, and it gives a little bit more depth. So that's really what we're looking at here. We are making depth on these characters. We don't want them to be as shiny boys. We want them to be a little bit worn, battle worn. That's what we're looking for. We also have another mission that we can play out here, and we get to finish with some more War Scrolls. It was totally unnecessary for me to grab that camera just then. The next 2 issues have Stormcast dudes in them. We have a blue colour as well. So we're actually going to be spending a couple of weeks going back and just going over the Stormcast. That's interesting. I thought, because it was alternating, every first issue was Stormcast, every second issue was Nighthaunt. That's interesting. So I wonder what, that's got me curious. I wonder what comes in issue 10. I mean, I know I can just go and look it up, but I'm enjoying like finding out as we go along. But we get some cool guys here. So we get a little like blistery thing there, and we get that blue, so we can outline some of the blue on these dudes, and then this one, that's got a lot there. And then we get to start adding like the color to the robes. This is exciting. So we're actually going to start getting some depth to our characters and other colors added on, so that they're not just bland. I'm actually really excited to see how these start coming out. Again, I'm an amateur painter. I don't do this Like, this is new to me. I've just mucked around with miniatures before. This is the first time I've really committed and got into this sort of thing. So it's really exciting and daunting and exciting and terrifying and exciting, and I don't really have much to do for this video. I'm just going to be adding some oil and some shade, dry brushing to these models. So we'll see how this turns out and how they look at the end of it. But yeah, interesting. Catch you guys in a couple of minutes. We'll discuss how the painting turned out. So today we're looking at doing the shades and the highlights for the Stormcast Eternals. I haven't done highlights before. We did some shades when we went over all our wraiths in the previous video. So we're going to come back and we're going to be doing the Rackland Flesh shade over the Storm host. So it says, what do we do? Paint the shade straight onto the model from the pot, going back for more as you need it. After you have applied a full coat of Rackland Flesh shade, the model will look essentially darker. The model should look a certain way when the coat is dry. So it just looks a little bit darker. So at the moment they're like really shiny. I guess it just adds that little bit of a shadier tone to it. So shades need to be applied quickly. We've had a little bit of practice with this. And if we have any issues, we can repaint with thinned Retributor armor to cover up any mistakes that we made that's got too much shade. And then we can reapply the flesh shade over it. We just need to make sure we don't pull. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to apply it to all of these models. I'm going to get them on here as we go. So I'll paint it, stick it on, and let it dry off. And then we're going to come back after that and we're going to do the Stormhost Silver. And that's the highlighting technique. So I've got stuff for later. I've got like water, palettes, dry brush, things like that, whatever I need. I don't know what I really need, but I've got it all ready to go. I'm just going to move my guys. I've stuck them to the table with blue tack because, you know, why not? I've got all my brushes here. That one I just threw on the floor. Alright, so this is going to be interesting. We'll see how we go. I'm just trying to apply this flesh shade on it. And there's one thing I noticed. So on this particular model that I'm currently painting, I remember when I was painting it, I had some trouble trying to make sure I had the right consistency with the Retributor armor at first. Trying to make sure it was the right thickness, or as thin as it should be on the brush. And looking back at this model, there are definitely spots on him that have the base grey still shining through here that I have not noticed until now. So I'm going to have to go back and touch this up later because I already started applying all this shade here. But it's in really annoying areas. So it's like at the back, inside the middle of the legs, at the back with the cloak there. And then there's just a few spots where it looks like I tried to fix something up and tried to thin it out and get it there, and just I made it too thin and it didn't attach properly. So after all this dries, I'll have to go back and adhere some more paint to those areas there. But this was one of the first models that I painted, I believe, with the Retributor armor, the Stormcast Castigators or whatever they are, Stormhost Castigators. He was one of the first ones I think I painted, trying to make sure I was getting the right thickness with the that Retributor armor paint, because it is hard to apply those metallic paints exactly how you want it. I'm finding that the shade is applying to the metallic paint a lot easier than it was when I was painting the wraiths with the white base coat. So it must have something to do with either the type of shade that it is, with like the colours and that, matching up to the more metallic paint. Ooh, this part I got a little bit too much on, but I am noticing that I seem to be able to spread it around a little bit easier on this, and I just have a feeling it's to do with the way that the metallics have other little bits of pieces in them, like extra, I don't know if you call it fibre, extra material, because it's got the shiny part, it's a little bit gritty. So there's a bit of that in there that it can also cling to. Because like here it's pulled up a little bit in the top of the hammer, but I seem to be able to push it around easier than previous with the experience that I was having on the wraiths. Also might be that I am understanding that it really is a quick application that it's wanting you to do when it comes to the shade. It doesn't want you to spend a lot of time, you know, with the finesse going into little cracks and crevices like you would when you're using the other paint, trying to make sure that you get the paint to cover the whole model. This, you're really quickly applying it, because it does dry quickly. It did say that. And I'm finding it's drying better and more quickly on these metallic paints. I seem to be making less mistakes in, at least my judgment at the moment. I might come back and have a look at these and they look terrible, but hey. I've had a week off of painting as well, because I had a lot of medical appointments in between work, and had to do first aid training at work, so I've been quite busy coming home late, so I didn't actually get time during the week to just sit down and enjoy myself with the painting. So after that little bit of a break, I've kind of come back in going, you know what, let's go all out on the weekend. It's Sunday right now. I've seen that they've already taken the money for my next order, and I'm still waiting for the last one to come, so it should be coming very soon, because they usually take it just before like that next order arrives. So should have some more videos coming out very soon on these. But yeah, just thought I'd jump in here and kind of talk about what's going on with these paints here. But it's definitely not taking anywhere near as long applying these shades. You know, I'll jump back in soon to go over the highlighting when we attempt to do some highlighting. Gotta let these dry though. Oh, my other light just dropped out, but we're going to have a quick look here. These guys have now been coated. You're not going to notice much difference in this shot, but they have been coated with the shade, so they're just a little bit darker, but we'll come back and have a look at these guys when we've put the highlights and put more detail into them. So it'll be exciting. Okay, so I've just finished the painting here, and I mean, it's alright. I don't know how well this is going to show up in this camera. If I can get this to focus, it will be lovely. Let's see how we go. I guess the main thing that I found was the painting. It's hard to see in the light. You can see there's a lot of excess paint on this. I'm probably going to have to touch a few of these guys up with a little bit of the Retributor armor again. This guy's too close to focus. There you go. But you can see for most of it that you're getting in these shots, It did cling to just very specific spots. There's probably a little bit too much on it. The main problem I had though was with this one. I got a little bit too much of the paint still left on this one, and look at that splodge of that silver there in the middle. But for the most part, it's just supposed to make it look like the armor's a little bit weathered, a little bit beaten up or scratched. You can see that especially on the back here. It's not wanting to focus. Come on. There we go. Oh, it just wants to focus to the box at the back there. It's focusing on everything but what I want it to focus on. There we go. But on the back here, it's a little bit more the original colour. Probably saw me going fast, but it was mainly because I was getting clumps towards the end there, where I just wanted to stay. But you can see there's a lot on this guy here. This one's got a lot in certain spots. But, you know, I'm going to work with that. If I need to touch it up as we go, we'll touch it up. But particularly like for some of the ones like here, there's not a lot on those two. And the middle ones back here. Like, there's the right amount on 4 of them. And then on 4 of them, I could probably go with touching them up and making them a little bit better. So, I just got to perfect that technique. I find that it is just a difficult technique to do. The shades and the dry brushing can be a little bit frustrating. Base coating's fine. Like, generally getting the base coat on, it's very easy because you're just applying a whole lot of one color of paint. But, yeah, it's progressing to these other techniques that I just have to learn. That's all it comes down to. I have to learn. I'm new to this. I'm probably rushing it a little bit. Probably people spend a lot more time than I do. I probably spend about an hour on each part so far on all the figures. If I was a professional, I'd probably spend a lot more time than that. But again, this is me starting this hobby, and like I've discussed in the other videos, it's me learning through using these magazines. So as I go through, I'm going to be trying to teach myself these techniques. So yeah, it's going alright. I mean, from a distance, they probably look alright, because you can probably see like there's little speckles of the silver and the gold. Up close is where, and it's really hard in this light, because I've got like a tungsten bulb, and then I've got a LED white light there. So I'm getting 2 different casts of the light there. I think the LED does show off more when you get it in the right angles. But yeah, it's really hard with the shadows and all that, and if I put on my glasses, I'll probably see a little bit better as well in certain spots, but you know, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. If I need to go back over it, I will. But we'll come across that in a later issue, because I think for the most part mine looks very similar. It's probably just some on the front or the back where the capes are that I just need to go over it a little bit more. But also, we're going to be painting over with different colours again anyway. Like, if we look at the image of the back, we're going to be going with all these blues and whites in that soon, so it's only the parts that I know are armour that I will need to paint over with the Retributor, and we can come back and do that again. But for a lot of these, they've got like those cloaks on the front, or the shoulder pads have the blue, so we will be going over that anyway. So we'll see what happens when we get to that. Issue 8, 9, 10, and 11 should hopefully be coming in the mail this week by the time that I finish this. Like I said, I did have a bit of a week break in the middle here. But we've got all the wraiths done up to where we're supposed to be with those. We've got all the Stormcast Eternals that we've painted so far up to that point where we're at. So, be interested to see where this goes from now. I've still got all these guys at the back here. These were the Warhammer 40k models that I started as practice, but need to actually do something with. I was testing the different base coats there, and yeah, I haven't really done anything with them, but as I get these, I'll definitely be going through and doing things with them, so we'll see what happens there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. It helps me out, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.